Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, making a brief return visit to Bloomburrow to talk about the cards that you really need to have in your collection from this set as a budget player. But before we get into all that, take just a moment to like, comment, and subscribe because that kind of thing really keeps this boat moving. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. Believe it or not, once you have completed level 68 of the Tarkir Dragonstorm Mastery Pass, you will have received every free pack of Bloomburrow that you are ever likely to see. And that means this is a great time to revisit the set. So whether you were around for the Bloomburrow free-to-play season, or you have joined since then, or even if you're brand new to Arena, we're going to look at the absolute essential cards that every budget player should consider within their collection. What do you say we start with a couple of must-haves? First off, Fabled Passage, a rare, not quite dual land, but pretty close functionally, is what I would call a day one craft. Absolutely everyone should have at least one copy of this in their collection. It makes all of your multicolor decks better and, well, really even a monocolor deck marginally better as well. This allows you to sacrifice the land, search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. If you control 4 or more lands, untap the land that you fetched. Pretty functional, does a lot of mana fixing, and like I said, this is one everyone should have, even if you are a day one newbie. And next up, we got Patchwork Banner. This is a must-have for anyone that's planning on playing any sort of tribal or typal deck anytime over the next couple of years. And really, that's everybody, even if you don't know it yet or not. Your starter decks basically came with an introductory Goblins deck. You do have to shuffle things around a little bit and build it. And there's plenty of other tribal aspects worth looking into, not the least of which are the 10 various dual color tribes introduced in Bloomburrow. This 3-mana colorless artifact, when it ETBs, you choose a creature type. Those creatures that you control get +1/+1, and of course it's also a mana rock, so you can tap this for one mana of any color, which is going to help in almost any deck, particularly the dual color tribals, to help you fix your mana or accelerate in the case of mono white rabbits. Next up, we've got to take a minute to talk about perhaps the ultimate budget deck, Mono Red. And post-rotation at the end of July, it's hard to say exactly what that deck is going to look like. But odds are the Heartfire Hero here is going to be part of that deck, unless for some reason it gets banned out of Standard, which I don't think is very likely. Even if it does, you would get your wild cards back from the banning, and of course Heartfire Hero could remain a force in more eternal formats as well, so it's still not a bad investment. 4 copies of that is probably where you want to be. Rockface Village is a nice enabler for Heartfire Hero, not only allowing you to cast the hero on turn 1, but then beginning to enable it thereafter in case you don't have other cards in your hand to do so. 1 to 2 copies is probably where you want to be on the Rockface Village. Of course, there are other prominent mice that might make appearances in this deck, but frankly, until we know more about what the deck and the format is going to look like post-rotation, I wouldn't go any further than these 6 uncommon wildcards. Normally in a What You Need video, I don't spend a lot of time talking about specific decks or the cards that go into them. That's what the budget deck tier list is really for. But when it comes to Bloomburrow, I do think there are a couple of exceptions to this guideline that are noteworthy. First off is Storm Chaser's Talent. Yes, it's another rare. And this is one that you're gonna want probably 4 copies of, but this card has proved itself in multiple archetypes, and I think it's going to remain strong into next year. This is one that you might want to hold off on until actual rotation and we see what happens with the various meta forces coming into play. But right now it looks strong, and I believe it's going to continue to look strong. And of course, we've got another blue card to talk about. This one's Eddie Crab, a 7 mana 5/5 with flash. It costs 1 less for every instant and sorcery card in your graveyard, and it enters tapped if it's not your turn. And when it ETBs, you tap up to 2 target creatures. This guy is like the Swiss Army knife of crustaceans. It's really kind of wild. But the reason I bring it up is mono blue control, mono blue tempo decks have been very much a force over the last 3 years or so in Standard, mostly due to Hadi Jin. And, well, the Jin is getting ready to rotate at the end of July. And if Mono Blue is going to continue to be a control tempo deck that is noteworthy for budget players, this is a card that is very assuredly going to be in it. You've got 3 copies of its Soul Sister counterpart, Tolarian Terror, in your starter decks, as well as a number of cards that would fit into this archetype, like Opt, Dive Down, Chart a Course. The list goes on and on, primarily focusing on your instants and sorceries. So it's really not much of a stretch that this will continue to be a budget deck in some form. And if you don't already have these, now may be an opportune time to pick up a couple of copies. Maybe not all 4 just yet. We'll have to see how the deck shakes out. And last but certainly not least, we need to talk about Hunter's Talent for those big dumb green fans out there. It's such a budget-friendly, beginner-friendly archetype that it's hard not to talk about individual cards for it. Of course, Hunter's Talent starts off as a 2 mana sorcery speed bite spell, meaning that one of your creatures deals its power's worth of damage to a creature that your opponent controls. It also is not at risk the way it would be with a fight spell where they both deal damage to each other. At level 2, for an additional 2 mana, whenever you attack, a target attacking creature gets +1/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. These are the things that big dumb green decks really dream about, is giving those big dumb green creatures trample and a little bit of a power boost. And then finally, for an additional 4 mana, which is not at all hard for a green deck that very often focuses on early ramp to achieve. But at the beginning of your instep, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. I mean, this card in its various stages does everything you want in Big Dumb Green. It allows you a removal, it gives you boost and penetration through trample, and it helps you draw cards. I really don't know what more you could possibly ask for. This is probably not a 4 of, but adding even 1, more likely 2 to any of your existing decks that contain green is almost certainly going to be an upgrade. I can't think of a single one of the green starter decks that this doesn't fit nicely into. So there it is, guys. Those are my thoughts on what you really need from Bloomburrow. But hey, the video's not over yet. Take a moment, comment down below, let me know what you think. What cards did you end up crafting from this list, or what do you think I missed in discussing? And of course, I want to take this opportunity to thank my supporting patrons, because being a small content creator comes with big bills. And I just couldn't do everything that I do without their monthly support. Thanks, guys. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful in your arena experience, we have a few suggestions for what you could watch next.